Hi guys, my name is Chris and you're watching Wrestling Today, so let's start with the 7 worst Triple H problems no one talks about. Triple H is one of the biggest stars in wrestling history and has had an incredible career in and out of the ring. From dominating the main event to holding countless championships to developing the future of wrestling with NXT. The game has often been a fan favorite and has done a lot of positive things in the industry. However, because he is such a big star who has accomplished so much in the business, some of his problems are overlooked. He is not someone who is often criticized outside of the usual complaints about him burying people. But while it has had a positive impact on the industry, there have been problems with it that are being overlooked. Number 7. Poor D-Generation X humor. The original run for D-Generation X was fantastic, and the group put together some iconic moments. After this point, however, this was not always the case. The run with just him and Shawn Michaels in the PG era was particularly bad in terms of humor, which a lot of people don't like to admit, simply because they are often seen as a comedy faction that knew how to push buttons and make people laugh. This was not always the case, however, and when the humor was wrong, it ended horribly. They were able to get through it because of the quality of the match, but people may not have wanted to admit that some aspects were not enjoyable. Number 6. NXT ultimately failed. Triple H put NXT in charge and made it a true third brand, and in that sense, that's something that can be considered a success. But when you look at how many wrestlers failed to make it to the main roster, the cracks start to appear. However, the biggest reason for the failure was the fact that he couldn't match AEW. Despite being considered WWE's hottest brand, he flopped when it mattered most. The fact that WWE decided to change everything about the show, from the filming to the wrestlers and backstage talent, doesn't make it a success, despite Triple H's best efforts. Number 5. Mistreatment of Chyna. Triple H's relationship with Chyna is something everyone is aware of, but he decided to move on and date Stephanie McMahon instead. However, society treated her badly after that, including the game. She was pushed aside and dismissed, all based on this situation, which is something that should not have happened. Even after that, in the years when fans demanded that she be inducted into the Hall of Fame, he always pointed to her personal life as the reason why it didn't happen. He should have championed her cause because of the impact she had on his career, but that didn't happen. Number 4. His entrances aren't good. When it comes to WrestleMania entrances and major moments where a wrestler gets all the bells and whistles, Triple H's name often comes up. Over the years, he has had some good ones. However, many of them have fallen flat and been quite average, often just taking far too long. The main issue is that they're often too long and quite repetitive. He takes similar elements and places them in, with skulls and motorcycles often being brought in. They're not on the same level as people such as The Undertaker, but he always gets given a big moment, no matter what. Number 3. He was never the guy. Triple H is often pushed and made out like he is one of the ultimate WWE superstars, and while there's no denying he is an all-time great, the game was never the guy in the company. He was sandwiched between Steve Austin and John Cena, who were two legitimate faces of the company. When he was on the rise, it was The Rock who overtook him to take on that role, and it wasn't long before Cena and Batista then came in to usher in the new era. While he was always in and around the main event scene, Triple H wasn't quite at the level some people think he was. Number 2. He wasn't as good a babyface. Throughout his career, Triple H has been able to portray both a babyface and a heel. It's something that has worked out for him and allowed for variety in his storylines. However, while he is an elite-level heel, the same cannot be said as a babyface. Triple H could always get audiences behind him, but he could never kick into the next gear. When it comes to the all-time great babyfaces, Triple H is never in that category, and that's because he wasn't good at making it happen. The game just worked best as a heel who audiences could hate, and that is a role that he thrived in. But his inability to truly get over to the level of a John Cena or Undertaker as a hero was a problem for him. Number 1. His matches weren't always great. There is no doubt that Triple H is a great wrestler, and throughout his career, he has put together some brilliant matches. However, if you were to look at his body of work overall, there are a lot of duds throughout. There are also many average matches, rather than world-class encounters that people will never forget. The problem that Triple H had was he wrestled such a slow and methodical style. While that might be interesting to some people, it often led to his matches being quieter in comparison to other main event names. He was always best in a brawling style scenario or a stipulation match, which brought him to the top level. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Thanks for watching and please subscribe.